And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Yeah, we're live finally. I'm sorry we are late. We tried to get on, but my man's crap was not working. It was buzzing, it was popping, and I couldn't hear him at all, which was possibly the greatest moment of my life at that time. But I had to have him be able to talk, so my man is back. We're ready to go. I'm sorry for the delay, but all kinds of things to talk about. We got all kinds of platforms that we are now live on. Let's talk about that. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. It's been a long day.
A lot better now.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually hear me.
Yeah.
And there wasn't this noise. Hey guys, hey, we're live on what? Kick, Twitch, Instagram. Are we on Twitter yet?
Nope.
Not Twitter yet. Okay, TikTok.
We don't need that.
No, Facebook. Okay, and obviously here on YouTube. So hey, hope you guys are enjoying this. Are we live on OF too?
Yep.
Hey guys, we're also live on OnlyFans. So we're going ahead live. This is awesome. I love this whole setup. We're going to be moving on to some other stuff too, like Twitter. Hopefully we'll get verified here in the next probably next 24 hours or so.
Takes a lot to verify us on Twitter, mister.
Yeah, I know. You gotta pay that $8, man. Give Mr. Elon a little bit more money so he can save more people from outer space.
After all these people are burning up the Teslas.
Whatever, man. People are getting home though from outer space. I'm cool with that.
Have you seen these people that are fucking keying Teslas? And they're dumb enough not to realize that Tesla's got cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
And it films them. I was watching this great thing of this guy who keyed a Tesla. And this guy sees him in a parking lot 2 days later and goes, "You're the dude."
Yeah.
And he's filming him. Did you see it?
Yeah. He goes, "You're the dude." And then
he's got a leather USA jacket on and stuff.
USA jacket, yeah.
He goes, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Like, his wife or girlfriend is filming inside it as well. It's just
I just loved it.
Look, anybody that goes out of their way to, I don't care what side you're on, goes out of your way to do harm to someone's vehicle, to whatever it is, their house, destroy something, you really need to seek help.
You're trash.
It's not even so much your trash, Sean. You need to seek help.
No,
I believe people like that, there's something mentally wrong with them. They need to seek help. If you can't control your emotions enough over political stuff, it's crazy. It's wild to me. It truly is. Anyways, let's not get too political. Look, I just want to say one thing. Today was a very iconic day. Okay. I was able to watch with my kids to watch the astronauts come down, parachute.
Yep. Very nice.
It was something I had never seen before, where the astronauts came back into the atmosphere, landed in the ocean. Kids were watching. I thought it was very historical. They landed in the Gulf of America. Okay. It was something that was pretty cool, man. I mean, like, think about it.
Gulf of America.
It was pretty cool to watch. Anyways, historic day, I think, in that department. Anytime you can bring somebody home from outer space, it's been stuck up there for 10 months.
Which is ridiculous.
I think it doesn't matter. Let's not get into that, John.
Fucking ridiculous.
I think it is great that they are
Here's
home.
the problem.
John.
When you can't call bullshit when there's bullshit.
Here goes John.
How do you leave people?
I'm trying to keep it.
Oh my God.
An even kill platform.
This has nothing to do. I'm an independent. I don't care.
Be positive, John. Positivity is this. Is it? They are home safe, back with their families. There you go.
God bless.
See, who would have thought I'd be the one
the rational one?
The rational one, right?
Yeah,
like the one with the most brain cells still available, right? I mean, yours start to disappear because you're in your 80s now.
That's true.
Like, you're borderline Biden right now. Look, I saw the smile on podcast Dave's face.
He's my favorite guy.
You gave a little smirk. I love it. All right, hey guys, we've got a lot of action going on, but I think for us, the biggest announcement for us today is that, hey, we're now live on all these other platforms. So if you guys have a platform you enjoy watching us from, if it's not available on YouTube, whatever it is, we are live on all these other platforms. Twitter, hopefully, and TikTok will be available, hopefully within the next couple weeks or a week or whatever, hopefully soon. So if you guys don't follow us on all those other platforms, man, head on over and follow us. We are available on Rumble as well, one of my favorite platforms to be available on, as well as UFC now, I think also offers their pay-per-views and has a ton of MMA content on the Rumble's platform. So I really enjoy their content over there. So hey guys, follow us, subscribe to us everywhere, and want to thank you guys so much. We're trying to grow these numbers, so please share our content out there. You guys have any, is there any questions before we start this podcast?
before.
Really would like to throw a question down here. Okay. Doesn't have to be a super chat. Just throw something down there that we can answer a question as John and I get ready to introduce, obviously, the great main event. But right after this main event, we're going to go ahead and take a fan question. So throw some questions down in the comments there. And I want to basically get one of those in, or one or two of them in between the main event and co-main event. John, this doesn't seem like a fight night type card. This seems like a very good card. And
Well,
especially
it is a good card, but it's from London too, so they're putting a little extra juice in it. Come on, you got to be honest about it. This is not your typical just fight night. It is from London. That means something to them. You know, that used to be a pay-per-view.
Why does it mean something to them? Can you explain to me, or is there something I'm missing? Why does it mean more to do something like this in London? Yeah, well, John's way off. You scooted way over before the show even started.
No.
How's Dave's over here trying to.
All right, Dave's getting all bent out of shape on me and stuff.
No, you got out of shape. That was the thing. You got out of shape. He was like the airport guys, just trying to flag you back over this way, right? Just needs the light.
That's it. When you take a look at the UFC and places that it had been early, it had gone to Japan, it had gone to Brazil and places like that. But for the Zuffa, when the Fertitas bought it, the very first place that they actually went that was out of country was London. And that was the first time it was done in England. It was UFC 38. It was done at the Royal Albert Hall, which was some, fancy place. I got to admit, it was probably one of the coolest arenas because it's not a big arena, but it's real tall and it's got these red velvet drapes and all of these like suites that people sit in and stuff. It was a really cool atmosphere to
you said, like, you've also said that's probably your favorite place you've ever been to.
Probably was just
right?
Atmosphere wise and everything, the way it looked and everything, it was just really different and cool. I compare that to like it would be the same as when they just did the Sphere. Really cool, different than your normal type of arena stuff. So it was that set the standard for them going out of country. And so going back to London, they went to the O2 arenas and they've been there multiple times, and that's all good in different places, throughout London, being Manchester and Birmingham. But London is always going to be that first place that Dana ever went, as the president of the UFC and stuff. And it was a meaningful thing for them to do at the time. They were losing money, so it wasn't like they were getting the benefit of making money from it. But London is always going to have that special place, and I think that's one of the reasons that they always make them good cards.
Yeah, I think I would have thought just because like Leon is a big draw, and these are things that you could potentially say, hey, you could put him as a pay-per-view. I know he lost his title, but there was a lot that went into that in terms of I know that people are saying he's making excuses, that you fought at 5 a.m. Let me give you guys a little bit of input on that. I fought in Japan against Kawajiri as the co-main event on New Year's Eve and in Dream. Was it Dream? Yeah, it was Dream. And I thought I was dreaming. Anyways, it was, but literally I fought at like 5 a.m. It was like 4:30, 5 a.m. around the time I fought. It was not the same. I felt energetic. I felt ready to go. I was able to get some sleep in the back, but I was there from 10 a.m.
It's
the morning of.
But see, there's a difference because the UFC is not doing these things that were done in Pride and Dream to foreign fighters to try to give an advantage to the Japanese fighters, and that's just the way it is. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm not saying it's a terrible thing, but it is what they did. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And you would sit there for the entire day in that arena, well into the night,
with no food,
and that the Japanese fighter would be brought in 2 hours ahead of time. I got there at 10 a.m. and all they give you is this little straw mat. It's like literally like one mat. It's like, I want to say 2x5 or whatever, or 2x6, 3x6 is the square mat on it. Anyways, it did affect my performance. I felt like I had the energy. I just felt like I was a little bit slower, and I was way faster than him. So I think for Leon, it just came down to like, you feel like you have the time, you feel like you could have get it done. For him, he felt like his body just wasn't moving. But his normal time, he was fighting in his normal time frame. He just that the fact that they made the fights at that time in the morning over there, and it made a difference. Well, when you say it's normal, it wasn't a normal fight time for him. It was a normal fight time for Bilal, because
No, that's
Bilal
what I'm
being
saying.
from the States.
John.
What? My God.
Well, you're sliding off the screen, buddy.
So
Seriously.
when you
Finished
take
Saturday,
a look at it, Bilal was fighting basically at a time that was like 11 o'clock for him if he was home. Leon lives in England, so when it's 4:30 in the morning, that's not a normal time to fight for him.
No, yes, I understand. That's what I was trying to say. Is I was trying to say, like, it wasn't his normal time to fight, but what it was is he was in his own time zone and having to wake up at that time in the morning to fight, or stay awake through the night to fight. Yeah. So I mean, it put the fighters from the UK at a disadvantage.
I think it did.
Absolutely,
I do.
And I think hopefully that's the last time they do something like that.
Yeah, I think they're not going to be doing that. Yeah, that was because they wanted it to be a pay-per-view here in the States, and put it on at the normal times, and that was how you do it, to make it normal times. Just that's why, what time is this card going to be starting at? I think it's something like 12 o'clock East Coast, 1 o'clock East Coast,
3 p.m. Central, so 4 your time for the main card.
No, main card. Yeah, I'm saying the start of
1
start
p.m.
Start of the preliminaries is 1 p.m. Eastern, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's that's
Okay.
good. That's the way it's supposed to be.
What is your take when you're looking at this fight? Let's not talk about matchup. Let's just take away, where does Leon go if he wins, and where does Leon go if he loses? And the same thing goes for Sean Brady. Give me before we even get into the fight breakdown, let's talk about what is the end result for both of these guys and the future for them if you win and you lose.
I think Leon absolutely sets himself up for a title shot in his next fight if he gets a win. There's no way of looking at it any other way. He's the number one contender right now. If he gets a win, and he's doing is he's waiting for Bilal is going to have one fight. Shavkat is hurt, so let's say that Bilal gets through that fight. I think you're going to see Leon will definitely get that rematch. If Sean Brady wins it, it might be a little bit of a different story. There's a couple of people ahead of him. He's not number one. It will definitely move him up in the rankings, but he's still not going to be number one.
You don't think so?
No, they will not move him, because right now he's where, at number 5 or 6?
Yeah, somewhere down there.
Yeah.
But if he goes out there and finishes him,
I mean, it would have to be a super impressive finish.
You just finished him.
Well, okay, but think about it. He's not going to move ahead of Shavkat, right? Is he going to move ahead of Shavkat? No.
He's 5 right now. He's 5.
Okay.
Yeah, he won't move ahead. I don't think he'll move ahead of Shavkat, so he'll be number 2. He'll be ahead of Kamaru Usman, I believe. He'll be ahead of Jack.
I would say that one's questionable. They really like Jack.
Well, JDM's going to lose. If he loses, he'll be out. If he wins, then of course he won't be ahead
of
JDM. He'll be ahead of Bilal then.
No, he wouldn't be.
You don't think so?
No, if we'll say that JDM beats Bilal. Okay. Where's Bilal going to drop to? No further than 2.
Okay.
No further than 2. So
even
Shavkat.
They don't give Bilal. The UFC is not really
love.
Bilal.
Yeah, I know. There's not the love comes harshly for Bilal, but
that's an understatement.
But I still don't think that Sean will move past him, and so I look at it, that one is a little bit different. But I do think that if Leon Edwards gets a win, he will definitely be in position for the next title shot.
Got it. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think if Sean Brady wins, you think they'll give Shavkat the shot before they give Sean Brady the shot?
I do. I think that it's easy for them to jump Shavkat with Leon Edwards, being that he's a former champion and just one fight removed from it, basically. And it's a lot tougher for them to jump a guy that's undefeated with Sean Brady, who is only defeated by Bilal, but it's going to be tougher for them to jump him.
Do you have Bilal and Brady do a rematch then, or do you give him
it might be a good, it depends, if you can't have Bilal and Brady do a rematch unless it's a championship fight, because that means that Sean Brady beat Leon and that Bilal beat JDM. Okay, you can have the rematch, and that's fine.
What do you mean you can't have the rematch? If Brady beats Leon, he's at number 2, and Bilal loses, then you have that rematch to see who gets the next shot because Shavkat's going to get the next shot. So are you going to have Brady wait around or for the next shot after that?
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
know, you could definitely have Leon. I mean, Bilal and Brady have that rematch to see who's going to be number 1. That would definitely, that makes sense because Shavkat is now in the position to take on the champion, who would be JDM. It's going way beyond me as far as remembering now who's going to be the champion, but we'll say that Jack wins it. Yeah, makes sense to have Bilal and Sean Brady have a rematch.
Yeah, I think it would make a lot of sense. And you know that there's been a lot of talk because that was, Sean Brady's was Bilal took it. You know that Sean would probably want to get that one back. We've had Sean on the show and basically said, like, it just wasn't me, man. That night just wasn't my night. I just felt everything just felt
flat,
off.
just where he was at.
Yeah, just where he was at. Everything in his life in that time. And I know he'd love to get that one back. I think he'd probably love to get it back as a title shot. But if Shavkat ends up having to fight JDM, you're going to end up in this position where, like, okay, you know how the UFC is about people waiting around. You want to wait? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to go ahead and give you an even worse matchup.
Waiting is not the answer.
No, you got to stay active. And so Sean's kind of in a shitty situation because if he does win, you know that Shavkat's pretty much going to get the next shot.
You would think.
That sucks, man.
That's life.
But it's an ultimate high, John. Getting that win, you're an ultimate high. You're coming off of, you just want to feel like, I don't know. I'm not quite on the Shavkat gravy train yet. I'm not fully sold. I think he's talented. I think he's extremely talented. I'm just not fully sold on it yet. And I think, honestly, if Brady beats Leon, I think he deserves the next shot.
But styles, and here's the thing: styles make fights. You know that, we say it all the time because fighter A beats fighter B doesn't mean that he can beat fighter C, and fighter C, same thing in reverse. But you look at it, and I honestly think one of the hardest fights for Shavkat out there is Sean Brady. That's a difficult fight for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a guy that can outdo him on the ground. That's a guy that in the stand-up is every bit as good of it as he is. He's just different. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have the frame that Shavkat has as far as length, but he matches up very well with him. That's a tough fight for both.
No, I would agree with you 100%. All right, now let's go ahead and start breaking this fight down. You got Leon in London fighting against Sean Brady. How does Leon get it done? Let's not talk about Brady. Let's just talk about Leon.
First thing Leon has to do is Leon has to get off. Okay, Leon cannot.
It didn't come out very nice.
Well, what I mean by that is he needs to be moving forward. When Leon is moving forward and hunting his opponent down, he is really effective. It's when he's being pushed back that he waits. And so first thing off, I need you stepping forward. If that means that you both match up and you both, stay in the middle and you're just, laterally circling out to reset and then go again, great. But do not allow Sean Brady to push you back. Can't do it. It's a first step in you not being offensive in this fight. And I need you to be very offensive. I need you to keep him at that range too. Once, it's going to set up, you have the advantage of length. You're a longer fighter than Sean Brady. He's a stockier guy. He's got good technique. He doesn't, it's not like he doesn't throw. He throws a good jab all the time as far as coming after you. But the better jab and the better stand-up technique and the smoother transitions in that stand-up, you got to give it to Leon Edwards. He is slick and he is fast. And he's very accurate with his combinations that he throws. He's got good accuracy, and he's actually got good power too. He's got snap. He doesn't always throw trying to really hurt you, but when he does throw to try to hurt you, he's got good pop on his shots. So he needs to control that cage where it's at. Do not allow Sean Brady to force you back towards the cage. If you're going backwards, you need to understand you're losing this fight.
So I'm not going to just talk about how I think he needs to win. What I'm going to talk about is how I think he needs to get another title shot. Doesn't matter. To me, I don't believe if he wins this fight, if he doesn't win in an impressive fashion, like he has a tendency to sometimes just let the fight develop in front of him and just like tap like a sparring session. Sure. The UFC is getting killed by that. It drives them nuts. That's why it took them so long to give him the title shot to begin with. They threw Nate Diaz out there because they were hoping for a finish, or they were hoping for a highlight reel type performance.
No one finishes Nate Diaz.
Well, let's not go that far. Let's not go that far. But the bottom line is that they were hoping for something to spark to get the crowds to love Leon. They got it a little bit, but then in the reverse way, because Nate had that last round type, clip where he clipped him and Leon was able to survive. People were, they really enjoyed that part of the fight. But his knock has always been he lets the rounds kind of slip away. He just barely wins them. And the UFC, that's why they waited so long to give him that title shot. I think in this fight, what he needs to do is, I'm not asking him to finish Sean Brady, but I'm asking him to make Sean look bad on the feet and stuff the takedowns and do what he did with Kamaru Usman. But he's got to have a little bit more output. If Sean works on the takedowns and he's able to circle off, he's got to make Sean pay right away with a 2-3 or a 1-2 or a head kick and then a combination after. He's got to let him know, like, I'm not out there just to try to stop your takedowns and get back to my feet and circle back out to the middle and then just kind of pick you apart with little 1-2s and some jabs and this and that. No, we know you're a beautiful striker. But if I'm the UFC, I want to see you create damage. I want to see you dominate this fighter who's number 5. You're number 1. You're the former champion. I need to know what it's going to take to get you back to that title shot. And I got to be honest, if you don't have a great performance, I could see Shavkat skipping over them and getting right to the title shot, even if Leon wins this fight. He's got to have a great performance. I think Shavkat's going to be next. If he does not have a great performance, if he does have something that makes him go jaw drop, like, oh, wow, great performance over the number 5 guy, you don't have to finish him, but you got to make him look bad. That's how I think he gets the next title shot, or at least in that conversation of like, okay, look, we're kind of stuck right now. Shavkat hasn't been that active. He's coming off the injury. You know what I mean? Like, what do we do? And in that situation, the Ian Gary fight, or like that, it just wasn't a great fight. And then the fight before that with Jeff Neal it was a good fight, but
that was a good fight.
It was okay, John. Like, that was a
good fight.
Performance.
There was back. Hold on.
Performance.
The reason why there was back and forth in the Shavkat versus Jeff Neal fight.
Okay, so that should tell me also that he's not quite ready for the.
I'm not saying, but that was at least it did test him, and it showed his mettle as far as mentally he's tough. He takes when things aren't going well for him, and he reshapes them and he gets them going back in the right direction for him. So
absolutely, I'm not knocking him in any fashion in that way. I'm just simply saying it wasn't to me like I wasn't like, oh man, that was such a great performance. I thought it was a fun fight.
But for you saying this about the great performance from Leon, what is it that he has to do to make that great performance?
Okay, so he's got to not let minutes slip by where there's no action. If you're the dominant fighter, you're the former champion, you need to show me that, like, I can control this guy everywhere he goes. He presses me to the fence, wrist control, which we know he's good at. If he does get taken down, wrist control, back up to his feet, circle off, but make him pay. Don't be content with just getting off the fence and getting back to your feet and then me pressing you to the fence and holding you and then making space. Okay, I'm controlling everything. No. Control and damage. We're looking for damage. This is a fight. Leon sometimes is so slick and so good that we don't get to see the best parts of him. And that's just using all those attributes that you have to dominate someone. He fights at just like a sparring pace because he's so good. But instead, let's open up a little bit more. Let's go ahead and touch him up. Let's fill that out. That's how I think he needs to set precedent in this fight right off the bat and tell the UFC, this is how you show the UFC. The last time was a fluke. It was a bad morning, 5 a.m. And I think they'll understand, but you've got to come out and prove it. You can't just say, oh, I had a bad night. No. Now you got to prove to me, because we're fighting at a normal time. You got to prove to me that it was just a bad night because it was 5 a.m. Now show me what you got. And that's what I think he needs to do to get this, to get the rematch with either Bilal or to fight with JDM. Or whatever, but I want to see that. Don't let him settle. Don't let Sean Brady settle in moments and be content with just surviving and not doing a lot of damage. Man, he's so good. Leon is so good. He just got to go out there and show the world how damn good and explosive he can be. He's had flashes, but he's so much better. If he opened up, John, I think the fucking world would love him even more if he opened up. He's so damn good.
He is that
Speak from
good.
experience.
There's no
Watching him
doubt.
piece me up one time. You know, oh God, speak from experience.
Luckily, I haven't had that experience, so I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened, but I didn't have that experience, so that's a good thing.
Well, now let's talk on the flip side.
All right,
On the
let's go.
flip side of Sean Brady, what does he need to do to get this done?
Same idea of, first off, he needs to come forward. He needs to pressure Leon. He needs to force Leon in directions that he's running him into the combinations that Sean throws. You know, many times Sean, even as a shorter fighter at times, you know, not the longest length, but he uses a good jab and he forces people in the direction he wants with that jab so he can utilize his right hand, bring the kicks up, and he's got good kicks. Sean Brady is a well-rounded fighter. He doesn't get the credit for it for whatever reason, but man, he's got all the tools. He can kick well, he can punch well, he can grapple well. You know, his wrestling is good. He's got everything. And he's got cardio, which he'll tell you about all day long, right? But he does. He's got good cardio. But the times that we've seen him struggle, it does seem like he has gotten tired in some of those and had to slow down, you know, his volume in the fight. So the big thing that I look at for Sean Brady, first off, he needs to be the one forcing the action on Leon, put Leon on his back foot, force him into the cage, make it a dirty, ugly fight inside with dirty boxing. Use the clinch, use, you know, a single collar tie and use one hand to come up. You know, get a good out, even if it's inside or outside. I don't care, an underhook, an overhook. Be nasty with being volume filled with knees and elbows inside, because being the shorter guy, that if you're putting him against the cage, it is an advantage. It is very difficult for the taller guy to get off good shots when his back's against the cage and he's got a shorter guy in the middle of him with his head right in the middle of his chin. It's much easier for you to get those good shots off, and you can do a lot of good work that is just going to slowly and systematically diminish the abilities of Leon Edwards, slow him down and make him normal.
Yeah, I would agree. He's got to put the pace and the pressure on him. I think though, if you look at a lot of Leon's fights, he has that tendency, like I just talked about, of letting the fight shape out. No, you've got to make sure you don't allow him to get into that comfort zone. And even though I want Leon to get out of his comfort zone, you've got to push him beyond that. You've got to make him throw 3s and 4s. Yeah. And then as he's throwing 3s and 4s, make him wrestle. So when he thinks he's striking, get into the wrestling. When he thinks that he's defending takedowns, get into the striking. Sean Brady cannot win this fight unless he keeps Leon guessing. Those are the guys that have had success against Leon Edwards. Kamaru Usman, success in terms of boxing, kickboxing, stuffing takedowns, all of those things, but also threatening a couple takedowns here and there, keeping Leon basically dedicated to like, okay, look, my hands, I can't let them go too much because I'm going to get taken down, or at least threaten to get taken down. And if I do let them go too much, then I will get taken down. So Leon's going to be fighting that battle inside his head.
Always.
Sean's got to make him fight that battle in his head by keeping the constant pressure, making him step back, never letting him dictate the pace of the fight. And what I say by the pace, I mean, like, you can't let Leon slow it down so much to where he's just able to use his speed and dictate where this fight goes.
Yeah, just pick you apart from the outside.
Because you're not going to win that battle, Sean Brady. And I love Sean. We've had him on the show, twice, I believe. Look, he's a fantastic person. I think he's got great goals, but this is the one thing, John. I said this years ago. There's fights when they call you and you've been asking for this fight, that motivation is just different. It just certain calls. When I got the Gilbert Melendez call, I was like, hell yeah, I'm ready to go. Like, the Nate Diaz call, hell yeah, I'm ready. The Benson Henderson call, hell yeah, I'm ready to go. My best performances came off of fighting guys that I was super motivated to fight. Sean Brady, the last time we had him on the show, he said he wanted the Leon Edwards fight and he wanted it in the UK. Well, guess what? He thought he was going to get it because they gave it to JDM, and then Shavkat got hurt. JDM slid into the title shot, and now Brady's now fighting Leon. He got the fight that he wanted. His baby was just born. Everything is going just right for him.
No,
I'm looking for those fights that motivate fighters. They're dangerous. this is a dangerous position for Leon to be on, because coming off the loss, is your confidence what it was before when you had the title? It doesn't always work out that way. And on top of that, Sean Brady sees something in you. That's why he wanted to fight you. He has that motivation of like, look, I see the weaknesses that I can exploit. Now I just got to go out there and do it. He's been preparing for this mentally in his training, everything. This is a dangerous fighter, extremely dangerous fighter.
Yeah.
This is a great fight.
This is one of those ones I look, and it's like you can get into the whole cinematic stuff if you want. Look at Philly fighters. Well, Rocky Balboa was supposedly from Philly, but there was a guy named Joe Frazier that was from Philly, that knew, hey, I have to go forward in all of my fights, and I'm going to take shots just to give shots. And sometimes that's what you got to have, is that Philly mentality of, no, you're going to have to stop me. And that's what Sean Brady needs. He's a Philly guy. Have that fucking Philly attitude and just go out and fucking do what you need to do to get that win. And that's go forward.
Yeah. I mean, you have one that's trying to live that dream and get there, be next in line for a potential title shot. And you have Leon trying to get back up there before he ages out.
And he's not, really, when you look at Leon, he's not really, he's got time. It's not like he's an old guy. All right. He's 32, 33 years of age, somewhere right in there. I don't know. Dave, is he 32?
He's
33.
34.
Confirming right now.
Is he 34? Shit, I didn't think he was that old. I thought he was 32. Might be 33. But still, he's got plenty of time. So it's not like, you're 36, 37, and this is your last bit right here. Leon's got time, but
33.
He's got to do this 33. Okay. Yeah. He's right in the prime.
Yeah, he is.
Prime of his career.
Especially in the welterweight division. I mean, look, Bilal's what, 38?
Yeah.
Having success right now.
Yeah.
Bilal, I believe, is 38, having success right now. And look, the best he's ever looked.
He's been fighting.
As you get higher in the weight classes, man, it becomes easier to win titles.
36.
Oh, he's 36. Sorry, Bilal's 36.
Bilal's pissed off right now. You took 2 years, but
just
slapped it on him.
You
slapped him right on him.
Yeah, John, look, like I said, when we started this show tonight, this to me feels like a pay-per-view type main event or co-main event. Like it just has that feel to me of, man, this is for a better
quality.
Free fight.
No,
it's a quality fight.
Yeah.
100% quality
fight.
No
doubt about it.
All right, before we get into the co-main event, I promised you guys a question or two. So let's go ahead and hit into this question. What do you got for us, Dave? Try to use English though when you read it.
I don't have any super chats in here. Do you?
I have one, Alejandro.
Oh, do you?
How many hours before the fight do you stop eating? Me, usually about an hour and a half.
As I say, most guys not that far. It's not what you think.
Yeah, but it's a real light meal. Like for me,
no, not for everyone.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, unless you're Randleman.
Derek Lewis eating ribs in the back.
Yeah. Kevin Randleman, fried chicken. Like,
oh, dude.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
I've seen some guys that I'm like, I don't know how you do that. Man.
No.
But okay.
Most of them didn't do it very well either.
Oh no.
Yeah, no. For me, so I would do like my breakfast normal, because most of my fights were in San Jose at home, so I got to sleep in my own bed, do my own thing. And but on the way to the venue, I'd always grab PF Chang's. They had this ginger chicken, but I just got no sauce, and it was just basically chicken and broccoli. So chicken breast and broccoli, and came in a little plastic container, and I always just take 2 of those with me to the venue, and I'd be there 3 hours or 2.5 hours ahead of time. So about an hour and a half to an hour before my fight, knowing that something could be held up, or the loading dock, whatever it was, you're out there, you're getting your hands wrapped. So I'd be eating while one hand was getting wrapped, and I'd be eating while the other hand was getting wrapped, and then I'd eat a little bit more. And then, I'd already jumped rope, already broke a sweat, already did all that. So my body was pretty loose. And then I would basically do a little bit of flow grappling, some shadow boxing. And it's usually about an hour to hour and a half before my fight. I felt like that gave me enough energy. I could have potentially ate a little bit more carbs. I didn't never really do that. I didn't like to feel with a full stomach. I didn't like to feel like I was loaded down and stuff. So, but it was mainly just chicken breast and broccoli for me. Usually about an hour and a half beforehand. I had a good meal. I had, usually about 3 meals before I even went to the venue. Then I picked up the food beforehand. So I took it with me. Yeah. What else? Give me one more question. Pull one out that's not a super chat out of there, Dave. What do you got?
Dave Sandine, what's the best time of day to fight? I would prefer in the morning.
I would prefer. Glad you would prefer in the morning.
Yeah.
No, it's not. That's not the best time. Normally, the best time is somewhere in between. That's 7 to 11. Those are the best times you're going to find for people because that's their normal time. Most guys are training and getting doing their training in the morning. They'll do stuff, but then they'll do training at night, and that's when they'll close it off. Somewhere around 9 o'clock at night is the end of their training session, 9:30, and to have it be if you're the main event and you're going on at 11, it's not that much of a difference. It's your normal training schedule that your body gets used to performing somewhere around that time.
Yeah, I mean, I sparred during the afternoon, so I wouldn't say that. But what I will say is this: Ed McCaffrey, who was a receiver for the Denver Broncos, he's got a son. Maybe you guys have heard of him, Christian McCaffrey.
Christian?
Yeah, just some average running back right now in the league.
He's all right.
CMC is the man. But look, bottom line is his dad used to wake him up 5 to 6 hours before every time he had a game. If he had an 8 a.m. game, he'd wake him up 5-6 hours before the game. You have to wake your body up. You've got to get the food in there. You've got to get a stretch in. You've got to get a workout in. You've got to get your body fully moving and your brain fully functioning. So he would wake his son up about 5 hours before whenever his game was. So if he had an early game, he went to bed early at, say, 6 the night before, 7 the night before. And he'd wake his kid up at, 3:30, 4 a.m. Let's get a workout in, get a little jog, get a stretch, get you to the venue, get you acclimated to the area, run some sprints, get some stretch again. He made sure that he got his food intake, all of those things. Look, for me, I really feel like for me, it probably would have been around the 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. I felt like some of my best performances when I opened up the pay-per-view or when I opened up the main card on like the Strikeforce fights on Showtime. Some of my best performances was when I was the very first fight on the main card. And that was normally right around 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that possibly the fact that you in that slot, if it was Strikeforce or the UFC, and you knew that my fight is going on at this time, so everything was dialed in. You knew exactly when you were going to arrive at the arena. You knew exactly when you were going to get your hands wrapped. You knew exactly when you're going to start warming up because it was all laid out before you, where when you're later on in the night, there's some, irregularities to what happens in the earlier fights. Sometimes you have to get up a little bit faster. Sometimes you have to slow things down. I think that might have had something to do with it.
I would say yes, but then my fight with Dwayne Ludwig, we were, what do they call the floater fight?
Oh God, no, we
were a swing bout.
Swing bout. That's horrible.
That was the worst.
That's
and
horrible.
Literally, like, they crammed us in right before. And that's
whoever invented the swing bout never fought.
They're assholes.
Just so horrible fucking thing.
And you know what's funny? Like I tell this story about my Dwayne's fights. My dad died, 10 days before that. I woke up sick that day, and then I was the swing bout. Everything was working against me that whole fight. And I felt like it was one of my best performances. Just everything I did. I almost fucked up at the end of the first round, but the rest where he almost choked me, I was like, God, can you imagine if I got choked out by
Dwayne Ludwig? I love that one.
And they're like, man, we knew Josh was fucking overrated. I could just see it. It was playing all through my mind as he's choking me. There was only seconds left on the clock too. But anyways, bottom line is it ended up being one of my best performances. So I just think around that time, I think ended up being the third fight. So between the co-main and the co-main and the fight before that. So I was right there before the co-main. They put me in as a filler fight there. So otherwise I would have had to go after the main event.
That's horrible.
And can you imagine like Dwayne and I be in the fight, the walkout fight? Oh, I'd have been pissed. I would have been so mad. But bottom line is it was one of my better performances. I do think though, John, to go back to what you asked, I think it does make a difference for some fighters. They show up, they know that, look, I'm literally going on at like 7:05. Yeah. I'm gonna walk at 7. I'll be in the cage by 7:05, 7:07. Yep. And by 7:10, 7:12, I'm fighting. Like we're touching gloves and we're getting after it.
Yep.
So
some guys love that. That is everything to them. And I can understand why. Some guys it doesn't matter. They can flow with everything.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I felt more pressure of being the opening fight because you're that everyone's actually in their seats in that time, especially for UFC fights, right? Like everyone's in their seats at that time.
Yeah.
They're there to watch the whole card. This isn't boxing, man, where they just show up for the main event. They're there to watch from the main card. People are still kind of trickling in, but you're getting the majority of the crowd is there. So it felt great. Let's go. Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg.
This is an interesting fight. It's the fact of, man, you get into this. Let's get into the age part, because that's a real question. You got, Jan has been around for a long time. He's had a hell of a career. People don't realize, KSW had a great, run, multiple weight classes and stuff, but he's 42 years of age.
Yeah.
Okay. And, Carlos Ulberg is 33, 34, somewhere right in there. But there's the distinct, Blachowicz has the skills to be on the feet with Carlos. I'm not too sure that Carlos can last on the ground with Blachowicz if Blachowicz is smart enough. This goes back to, Ulberg's teammate is Izzy. And how did Jan end up beating Izzy? Took him to the ground. Well, he should use that same, recipe and that same blueprint in fighting Ulberg. He doesn't. The way for you to lose this fight is to be in a stand-up battle with him, because he's very fast. He's got good techniques, and he's got good power. He can hurt you. Now, it's not saying Blachowicz doesn't have power too, but you are going to see a speed difference between these two. Ulberg is much faster.
That's exactly where I was going with it. Was the speed is going to be a huge difference.
And that's really, how do you take it and dissipate that speed? How do you make it not matter? You take him to the ground. The speed doesn't matter then. So, I look at this as, Blachowicz can definitely win this fight if he is smart and he fights a smart fight and he uses his grappling, which he does have good grappling. Take him to the ground. Ulberg has, if he's got a weakness, it's that he's just not good on the ground. He's not good at getting back to his feet. He's getting better, but he's not one of those guys that, man, he just pops right back up. He can be put on his back. You can flatten his shoulders to the ground and keep him there. And that's what Jan Blachowicz needs to do.
I mean, Polish power, baby. That's all I got to say, man. The Polish power.
Polish power has to be able to, it's no different than when I was talking about Mike Tyson against Jake Paul. It has to hit the target. And when it's slower, it's very difficult to get that power to hit that target.
You didn't let me finish, John.
Okay, I apologize.
Polish power by second round, when Carlos Ulberg is tired from being on the bottom from the whole first round,
there you go.
is when you're going to see a change. See, always interrupting.
Yeah,
Jeez,
you're right. I apologize. That was poor etiquette.
Bottom line is, look, Jan to me is, people continuously overlook him. Look, they were like, oh, Uncle Live's gonna walk right through him. You could say that Blachowicz fought him better than Alex Bejeda did.
He did.
He had a better fight.
Yeah.
And so there's that concern of like, no, Jan can stop takedowns. He can get takedowns. He can control the top position. He can outbox him on the feet. He's just got to do it after you see Carlos start to get tired. I also look at Ulberg and I think to myself, are you the same fighter when you're a little bit more tired? Like, I know what Jan is in round 3, 4, and 5.
Yep.
He'll slow down, but he's also very smart about what he does. He's got a very high fight IQ. Some of that may come from the KSW days, because look, those guys over there are just straight fucking killers. Like, that organization is, I mean, I'm surprised someone hasn't died over there. Those guys are brutal. They are beasts in that organization. They don't get enough credit for what they do over there.
Oh, no.
We've seen a lot of really good fighters come out of KSW.
Roberto Soldic.
Yeah.
Just a fucking animal.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of guys that are really good. Michael Materla over there, just great. I trained with him for years. He's a fantastic human being, but also too, just a great fighter, man. He's always funny because he always used to say, hey, show me how to make the sweep. He would always come from Poland. He was just so funny because he always wanted to absorb knowledge.
He fought Pujanowski, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah, it didn't go his way, but he was also older, dealing with some knee issues, back injuries and stuff. But look, with him, he was always game to fight whoever. But man, he was so humble, so nice. One of the funniest sons of bitches I've ever been around. Hilarious. You put him and Trevor Prangley in the same room, fuck, I would come out with just cracking up, man. Almost pissing my pants, the two of them. Fucking hilarious. South African accent, Polish accent, just hilarious, man. They're great guys. But I look at Ulberg and I think to myself, if you can survive the ground for a round and a half, and you can come up and still show you have some energy left, then I think Jan could be in trouble. But I think Jan is just such a smart fighter, and he just finds ways to win, and he knows that, look, I should have beat Ankalaev. I had the opportunity to beat Ankalaev, and now you're the champion. All I got to do is win this fight, and I'm getting that title shot. That's all you got to do.
The real question when you're looking at it is, Alberg, for the most part, I think I've seen him in a third round one time. He's got one loss that was in the UFC. That was to Kennedy and Juku. And look, he got blasted and got put away. But it's always, you've seen him when he gets past the first round, he does start to look a little bit tired, a little bit, it's just not the quickness and the smooth, fluid fighter that you've seen. So you just haven't. Can you think of how many times have you seen him, hit the third round? Not very many.
No, I don't think he has. So he did against Dalwan Jung.
Okay.
He did in the third round.
That's the Iron Turtle, right?
Yeah. Yep, it is. Yeah. Yep. And then he hit the third round against Fabio Charant on the Adesanya Whitaker fight, and then he lost to Njoku, and then he lost nope. So he went to the third round in EMMA, John Martin Frazier. Second round in Kawata Puna, which was his first fight back in 2011. So we're talking a long time ago.
Yeah, that's. But
what you can't do though, John, is underestimate Jan Blachowicz.
No, I don't, and that's my whole thing. But I do underestimate Jan if he doesn't utilize a full attack. That's my only thing. If he goes out there saying, "Look, I stood with Poaton, I stood with Ankalaev." Yes, you have, and you're good, and I take nothing from you. But the way for you to get the win and the smart win against Alberg is to utilize those skills that you built up over time at KSW and then with the UFC, in that you've got some grappling, you've got some wrestling takedown ability. Use it against a guy that, his way of winning is to be on the feet. It's not on the ground, and he's not going to be trying to take you down. So why not fight the fight he doesn't want to be in? Yeah.
No, absolutely. All right, John, let's move it on to Gunnar Nelson versus Kevin Holland.
Man, I'm being honest. I look at this fight. This is not a good fight for Kevin Holland.
Yeah.
You can sit there and say what you want. Gunnar Nelson is very determined when it comes to his takedowns. He goes after him. Kevin's not that guy that's got that just incredible power that's going to stun Gunnar and put him down in most situations. I'm not saying that Kevin doesn't have some pop on his stand-up, but Gunnar is going to be a guy that, everyone's going to say, well, Kevin's a black belt too. Yes, he is. Gunnar is way ahead of him when it comes to the ground. And when Gunnar gets this thing to the ground, I think, and the one thing that we've seen out of Kevin is his wrestling still is not, that great. Defensively, it's not that great. People are able to take him down. I look at Gunnar Nelson, who, I look at this very similar to his last fight was Brian Barberena. And in that fight, I looked and said, well, Brian Barberena better keep this on the feet. And he didn't. And right away, he got choked. I think it was a choke. But it was, you look and you go, man, Gunnar Nelson is very effective with what he does. And Kevin, for whatever reason, I love him as a fighter, but sometimes it looks like he just doesn't care that much.
Hey, a little bit of money does that to people, John.
Okay.
He made money for the Hamzat fight, and I think he's just cashing out and being like, okay, good, whatever happens, happens.
Okay.
You got to be careful because, the losses in a row. And
how many losses do you have in a row now?
I don't know. I think it's 3. I think he had a win somewhere.
Pull that up, Dave.
Yeah, it's loading right now.
Yeah. But I'm gonna go.
That went back to nothing.
I'm gonna go back into the Gunnar talk, John, because you were talking about that. The only thing that concerns me about Gunnar is it doesn't matter how good or how many fights that Kevin Holland's lost in a row. Kevin Holland's also a lot more active than Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar hasn't fought.
Oh, no doubt about it.
And that's what concerns me a little bit. Like I said, you can't train fight speed inside the gym with your teammates and expect, to go out there and perform at that level. Kevin Holland may not be a whirlwind right now. He may not have a success out there in the cage, but what he is doing though is he's been very active. He's making a lot of money, but he's also being very active. He's consistently fighting, and he's going to see things out there. And if the fight does go longer, he's going to see things out there that Gunnar is not really accustomed to as of right now because he just hasn't been active. 2023 is a long time ago.
But in his last 5 fights, how many wins does he have?
Which one? Gunnar or
Kevin?
Oh, he's got 1 win, I think, in the last 5 fights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, you take a look at who he lost to. He lost to JDM. He lost to Michael.
Oh no,
Page.
look at he's lost to good fighters. There's no doubt about it.
Delitze, DeRitter. I mean, these are all guys. Some of them he could have beat. He just decided to fight stupid.
That's my whole point.
Yeah.
That you know, and it's like I can go all the way back to when he fought Stephen Thompson. You know, you and I kind of argued about, speed and everything. And the one thing that we looked at and said, well, the one thing Kevin should, if he has the ability to get him to the ground, keep him on the ground. He didn't even try to do that. And that's where you look and go, Kevin, what are you thinking? Where's the one place that, Stephen Thompson can win this fight? It's on the feet. What are you doing?
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, look, I'm excited to see Gunnar back inside the cage. I am somebody who enjoys watching the grappling and the way he attacks, gets the takedowns, the way he can move on the ground. I enjoy that. Kevin Holland, though, I'm like, John, I'm a fan.
Oh, so I am too. I love the guy. I like his attitude. I like the fact that he's always, being busy. But sometimes you got to take a break to make the changes in your style that you need to make so you can be successful.
I would agree. All right, here you go, Molly McCann. I don't even know if we should call her Meatball anymore because she's a little bit leaner now.
She's lean and mean Molly.
Lean and mean now. So Molly McCann versus Alexa. How do you say her name? Thanera.
Yeah, she's. And again, I hate to say this. I love Molly McCann. She's a sweetheart of a human being. She's just always positive and just a great person to be around. They handed her an absolute terrible matchup. Someone who's really good with her submissions, someone who is great at getting the fight to the ground. And once she gets on the ground, she goes to the back very well. And look at this, and Molly's really going to have to be on her toes and being smart in the way she approaches this because she does not want to go to the ground with Alexa.
Yeah, the hardest part, I think, for Molly is when you go down from 125 to 115, it really comes down to the speed. She's not a fast fighter. And so she may be physically a little bit stronger than them, carrying that muscle mass that's in there. But the problem is like you're gonna have to deal with the speed. And Alexa seems like she's gonna be able to close that distance, get to the takedown, control the top position, and then like you said, the speed doesn't mean shit when you're on the bottom.
Nope.
It's like or when someone's on top of you, just controlling, like there's nothing you can do. Where Molly needs to be able to she needs to keep it out, not out of range. She needs to keep it pressed against the fence. Dirty box, make it grimy, hit those spinning back elbows, but avoid those takedowns. Yeah. But like with Molly, look, I think I love watching her fight. She's fun. She brings the crowd. She brings the action. I'm looking forward to seeing her back inside the cage. John, is there any other fights on here you wanted to talk about?
Like I said, the one that I don't understand the seeding of the fights here and everything, because I look at the fight before the Molly McCann is Jordan Vucinic against Chris Duncan, and that's great. But Jordan's last fight was against the guy who is opening up the entire prelims in Guram Kudzelezi, who is absolutely fun to watch. The guy he's like he's one of those crazy like Nordic fighters that just incredible shape, but just keeps coming, tough as hell. And he's taken on Fernandez, who is a very good young fighter. But I look at that. That's actually a great way to start off the entire card.
I agree. I like the Chris Padilla and Jai Herbert fight as well. Should be a fun fight. Yeah, it should be a fun fight. Whether it strikes.
Also, Nathaniel Wood against Morgan Chamer. I know you can look at Morgan Chamer's record and everything, and he's got like 10 losses on his career. That's when he didn't know how to fight. He was a one style fighter. He was a stand-up fighter. He can go everywhere now, and this kid is actually really good, very charismatic in the way that he fights, super athletic. He's fun to watch, from France. I think he's gonna do well in the UFC. He's been there for like 3 fights now, but that should actually be a really good matchup because Nathaniel is tough as hell.
Hey, John, we're going to go over some great odds, some betting odds over at betustv.com. Do you want to pull those up for us there, Dave?
Yep. Got Leon Edwards and Sean Brady here.
Look at that. Look at there.
If you guys want to go ahead and take out some of the best odds out there, go ahead and check out betustv.com, betustv.com. Let's go ahead and take a look. What do you got there for Sean Brady as what? A minus 165. Leon Edwards is a plus 138.
How did you just had it up there and he was a minus 180?
Yeah, I just had to refresh it just to make sure.
John, I'm not sure if you know how the internet works. I know you're 80 years old, but if you hit the little circle button on the corner, it just
change?
It does. It actually does.
I hate when it does that. No, but it's like still minus 165 to a plus 138. This is telling you something about the way people look at, the fight and the direction of the fighters. They're both young fighters and they both still have, great careers ahead of them. But I'm going in the same direction as the odds makers here. I look at it and I go, Sean Brady's got everything working in his direction right now. And you can sit there and say what you want about, well, it's, in London, it's Leon Edwards' hometown. He's, wants to perform for everyone. Yes, he does. And that means he's got all the pressure and all the weight is on his shoulders to, do the media and do everything and take care of these things. Well, yeah, Sean has to do it too, but you know what? This is a fight he's been begging for. And I think he knows how good Leon is. I think he understands how he needs to approach this fight. And I think he has the right style to give Leon some problems in this fight.
Yeah, I said it, man. I said it earlier. I think, Sean Brady stylistically and the motivation too, he's been asking for this fight. That feeling of like, I'm getting what I want.
Yep.
It changes the way a fighter goes into a fight. His mentality is different. The focus is different. You really want that fight. And so
it's also you want that fight. And in your mind, you've already put what direction it's going to take your career because I know I can beat this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the way he's looking at it.
You visualize like, hey, he does this, and this, not at my level. I know I can exploit it. That may change when you get inside there because it does change. Sometimes you're like, man, he's a lot tougher to take down than I thought, or hold down. He's a lot harder to hit than I thought, whatever it is. But the bottom line is that he's played this over in his head multiple times. He wanted this fight back. When was it? When did we have him on the show last time? We had him on I think around October or something like, right?
Long time ago,
he's like, I'm hoping for that fight, around the time that my baby's born, I can get that fight and then take some time off. He had it all planned out. Yeah. He understood what he wanted and he's been asking for it. They gave him what he wanted. So that motivation comes so easily. And a minus 165, look, if you're somebody that's feeling feisty, that's something that I could see people picking up on. Leon Edwards is a dog. I know how good he is. I've trained with him. I know how fast he is. I know what he can do. He is the former champion. He's got to get back on track. Coming off of a loss is never easy.
Nope.
You're more motivated to get to the title once you get there. And if you lose it, then how do you get back? Some people just can't seem to get back. We've seen it multiple times.
Very tough.
It's very tough to get back. And so I look at it, I'm thinking to myself, man, he's got an opportunity to close this deal in the UK, show everyone that the last time was a fluke. Can he get it done? We're going to find out. But if you were somebody to really look, I look at Sean Brady and I also take a look at, I could see him winning, maybe possibly by submission. It might be a tough option, but that side choke, as you start to get tired in that, in that third and fourth or fourth and fifth round, somewhere in there, I could see that potentially happening.
Yeah.
Just in a scramble, just on the ground, Leon trying to get back to the feet, something along those lines. Yeah. You can chase that side choke or that darce or that front headlock, front routine.
And I think he's, Sean likes to get to that front position, snap the head down, and he's really good at the variety of, well, what am I going to show him? Am I going to go after this? Am I going to go after that? He knows where he wants to go. He's super strong. And again, nothing against Leon. His grappling has absolutely just improved leaps and bounds, but it's not at the level of Sean Brady's.
Yeah, I mean,
Sean Brady has a distinct advantage when that fight is on the ground.
Sean is, if you go by submission, he's a plus 400.
Yeah.
You throw $20 down to see what happens, or even more if you're believing in that. Mm. But you got Leon though too. I mean, to win by decision, it's plus 240 for Leon, and to win by decision for Brady is plus 140. So, I mean, I could see either one of those. I do think that this will go into the later rounds. I could see Sean getting the submission though towards the end in rounds 4 and 5 when you see Leon has a tendency sometimes to slow down.
gets tired. Yeah.
You know, but
Fast
then on
twitch
top of
muscle
it,
fiber.
yeah, this is very true. When someone's that explosive, they tend to slow down as it goes on.
Yeah.
You know, those are things to take a look at. If you want to get more information on that, go to betustv.com. Let's go ahead and hit that co-main event though too there, Dave.
That co-main event. Ooh,
You got it?
yeah,
You see it there? Go ahead.
I do. You're looking at Carlos Ulberg is a minus 305. He is a heavy favorite over Jan Blachowicz, who is a plus 250.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is one of those ones. I understand why they're picking Ulberg. You know, he's young. He's got the speed. Jan Blachowicz is 42 years of age. I talked about it, and it does make sense. But if you're gonna be, honest about it, Blachowicz can get knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see it truly happening because he's been in there against the very best and they haven't been able to knock him out, for the most part. It hasn't happened very often. And over the latter part of his career here, he hasn't been knocked out and gone against guys like, Poaton, been against Ankalaev. And not that Ulberg's not super good in the stand-up, but if Blachowicz utilizes his grappling, this is a different fight.
Yeah.
And this is one of those ones, I look and say at a plus 250, I'm going to go with Jan Blachowicz. I'm not saying that I'm not taking a chance. I am, but I would take that chance by putting $25 down on that plus 250.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple ways that I can go in this fight. I look at Ulberg. I think he's got to win this fight in the first round. He's got to win it in the first 2 rounds. And I think if he's going to win, he's going to win by knockout. But I would say just the first round period. He's going to have to use his speed, his explosiveness. So
what does it have for Ulberg if he gets knocked out in the first round?
It's a plus 400.
Yeah.
If you go to the second round, it'd be plus 600. I mean, but look, the whole thing could be void if he doesn't get past the first round. If he gets taken down right off the bat, you're like, okay, well, that pretty much gets rid of the knockout out of there. But you could also see Jan win by decision. I could see Jan win by TKO as well.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Do you see a submission potentially on that side? Because look,
I absolutely see Jan getting a submission against Ulberg. Absolutely possible if he gets the fight to the ground. Like I said, he's got a good grappling base. It's not like he doesn't know what he's doing down there, and he's very strong, especially with his side choke, the arm triangle he'll go to. He's great with it. Yeah. And I look at it, and it's like he could definitely put Ulberg in a bad position, taking him to the ground. Will he do it? That's my only question. I don't know.
Plus 1,400 for submission by Jan.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That shocks me a little bit.
Yeah.
I could see the submission happening at plus 1,400.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, just a dog. I mean, I think he's one of those guys that even the odds are showing him as an underdog.
Oh, yeah.
No one gives him any respect.
None.
He just fought the champion.
He's never had that.
Great performance.
He's never gotten the kudos that he actually deserves for a hell of a career.
Yeah. John, they got Kevin Holland at even money, and they got Gunnar Nelson at minus 120. I think we all know where we're going with this. Yeah. If I was to take any single one of these,
Gunnar Nelson by submission.
Gunnar Nelson by submission.
Nope.
That's exactly what I'd be looking at. And if I was to take it, it'd be a plus 215. Would you take it in the first couple rounds though?
Yeah, I would take it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you could sit there. I give Kevin Holland the ability to get through that first round.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a matter of Gunnar. If he takes him down, it's like there was one fight I'm going to go back to it long ago, and it was Gunnar Nelson against Damian Maia.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in the back before we'd gotten our assignment sheets, and I was with Mark Goddard, and we were talking about that fight. And he goes, I really hope I get that fight. And I go, you know what? I would love to do that fight. I'm really interested in it. And that's because we're grappling geeks, and love when two great grapplers going. He goes, well, who do you think's going to win? I said, look, if it gets into a grappling exchange, I said, I love Gunnar Nelson, but he is not Damian Maia. And he goes, oh, I think you're wrong, bro. You're wrong. He's Gunnar Nelson, is this and that. So we were both had different views of it. I got the fight, and Damian Maia just tooled him on the ground. And it was like, there's levels. and there's levels to everything, and it's hard to understand until you've seen it or felt it and been with it. It's one of those that, Gunnar Nelson on the ground, he's special. Now there are those guys out there, I could take, a Rotullo brother and say, yep, Gunnar Nelson's in trouble. Okay. Just going to be in trouble.
Damian Maia would be in trouble with them.
That's exactly it. But, Gunnar's the one fighting.
Yeah.
So that's why I said it. But it's, there's levels, and there's all these different levels. But when you look at the level of this, and Kevin Holland is a good grappler, but he's not on Gunnar Nelson's level.
To talk about what you were just saying about with the Damian Maia and Gunnar Nelson, it also makes it a little bit easier for Damian Maia or Gunnar, because knowing that they're not really interested a whole lot in the ground and pound. When you hit the ground, it's really coming down to grappling, control, positioning. There's a couple little strikes here and there, but nothing that's going to be like, oh man, this guy's got vicious ground and pound. With Kevin Holland, the only thing the Gunner's got to be careful of is if he does end up on bottom, he's got to make sure he's creating enough space, because Kevin's so long that he can still hit you from the bottom position. He can still hit you like you saw with Jacques Ray, where he knocked him out from the bottom. He can still hit you with that distance because he's got such long limbs. So Gunner's got to be careful in those situations. But like I said, I would probably take Gunner on the odds in terms of submission wise. And if I was to take it, like you go into like round 2 plus 575 and round 3 plus 850, I would say probably in round 2. He could potentially catch him in round 1. Could. I mean, but even if you were to say that'd be plus 375. Overall, though, like if I was going to take any bet on that, I would take Gunner to win by submission. So you guys pick and choose your own, and and see how it plays out for you guys. But I think it's those are some good things to be taking a look at. Like I said, hey, go to betustv.com and check it out for more sports stuff. Sports
all about sports.
It's all about sports over there. All right, guys. Before we move on, Podcast Dave has a little advertisement from our sponsors. Great word from our sponsors over at LMNT. I want to thank them so much for continuing to support us. If you guys want to support us, support our sponsors. Hey, check them out, though. Black Cherry Lime is one of my favorites. I love the watermelon. John's got the Black Cherry Lime, too. Look at that. Make sure you guys check them out. Use our link down below in the descriptions. They're a great product, man. Keep you hydrated, especially with summer coming. Those of you guys that like to do workout in the sun like Big John, that's not me. Okay. That's not me. But for those of you who like to play sports, I like to play tennis. It gets hot out there on the green turf, on that green, whatever it is, platform. All right, out there, and also on the basketball courts, out there in the field playing soccer. I mean, it gets hot here in Texas, just period. So check out LMNT. I want to thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. Dave, go ahead and read us off some of the super chats.
Yeah, Alejandro Gutierrez. Josh, would you do a cold plunge before a fight after an LMNT and smelling salts? Would that be legal, John?
No. Cold plunge is legal. LMNT, no, legal. Not in the back. Not in the back, is it?
Depends on the state.
Yeah, because California was just straight water for a while.
For a long time, but now you can do a couple other things.
Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do LMNT like right before the fight. I would probably do it like maybe a little bit earlier in the day after, because, your weight cut, you rehydrate from the night before, you wake up, you still feel a little bit dehydrated. You're trying to put all that weight back on. So I'd probably do, a can of LMNT or, a packet of LMNT. And smelling salts, those are illegal. So I wouldn't be doing that. But yeah, an ice bath. Would you do a cold plunge? Would you do a cold plunge before the fight?
Fuck no.
No, you wouldn't?
That's the dumbest thing ever.
Really? Why is that?
Because look at what it's doing to your system.
What do you mean it's doing to your system?
Well, you do what it's releasing. Cold. One of the things a cold plunge does is it makes your body, as far as any kind of inflammation and everything, takes it and stops it, going to go down. But your liver releases a bunch of enzymes into your system based upon that, hypothermic water temperature that
Just
you're
say the coldness.
The coldness. Thank you. Not what. In no way should you be shocking your body with cold before your fight. How many times do you see guys that are working out and getting a sweat in before their fight?
This is very true. First thing in the morning.
Okay. Yes, that's what you do.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be thinking about doing things that are going to make your body freeze and cold. You want to do things about warming it up and making that engine run. So no, I would tell you the element is fine. You might not be able to do it in certain states as far as in the locker room. You can definitely not do it once you come out to the ring. The smelling salts you can do all day long, no problem. Just not when you go out to your fight. Okay, so if you want to
do them in the back,
sure. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
What is it? What smelling salts do?
Just wakes up your brain.
Oh, dude, no, it fries your brain.
Whatever, same shit.
Have you ever done them?
No, I've never done them, John.
Oh, they're horrible, dude.
John, I don't even take fucking ibuprofen or Advil.
Oh my god, man! Smelling salts. When you get a good thing of smelling salts and someone was, dude, it is like a nuclear explosion of your sinuses.
Someone told me it's like eating like a whole bunch of horseradish or wasabi.
That's a nuclear explosion, man. It's just like, wham. So no, you could do it in the back.
Wow.
I'm sure there are some athletic commissions that don't allow it. They got to say something about it, and even not in the back. But there are ones that's like, yeah, you could do something before the fight, before you went to the arena. It's not going to show up on anything. It's not like it's a thing, but you can definitely not do it. It used to be in boxing, they would have snap a smelling salt capsule when the guy got racked and he came back to the corner, and they would stuff that under his nose. It was like, brutal.
Next question.
Alejandro asks, you think Jan and Ulberg will go sheen to sheen?
Oh, shin to shin.
Sheen to sheen.
It's going to be Ankh and Jan again. I think he will. I think he'll go to that.
Absolutely, he will.
He goes inside cut right to the shin bone down by the ankle. And there's like a little nerve that runs down in there. Yeah. If you pinch that nerve,
perennial nerve,
it's so fucking painful,
and it takes away your ability to control your foot.
Really, John? Like I never got that feeling. I just got like it just is so pain. It's almost like you're kicking the vessel, and like I've had like where it's bruised up really bad, like a blood bruise because it broke something in there, and then I've also had it where like it was just so painful, like super super sensitive to the touch.
Yeah.
But I didn't have anything where my foot would, like a foot drop or anything.
I've seen it too many times, man. Everything's just dependent on. It's like each fighter is different, and every human being is put together the same way, but they're a little bit different. Donald Cerrone had problems with body shots to the liver all the time. Okay, now why is it because Donald Cerrone's not tough? No, he's super tough. But there's something about, and maybe it's a 1/4 inch difference or whatever, of the amount of muscle that he has compared to somebody else that shot hurts him more than other people, and I think that's just the way things are. That's why some people are really good at taking a shot to the head while another person gets that same shot to the head and they're out. It's just, we're all built just a little bit different and stuff. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people have a lot of problems with that inside to that and lower part of the shit in their foot. Just that you can see them that they're taking steps, and it's like they have to think about placing their foot down. It's not an easy thing. We've seen Michael Chandler got messed up on the outside of it by doing it. Demetrius Johnson almost had Henry Cejudo in trouble, both inside and outside with that low leg kick.
Yeah.
So it definitely can have an effect.
Dave, this is a good time to let's promote John's reffing clinic that he is going, because Robbie G just asked, how can I become an MMA referee? John, speak on it, big dog.
Well, Robbie, if you want to become a referee in the sport of MMA, first thing you have to do is you're probably going to have to go through one of the courses. There's a bunch of them out there. Herb
This
Dean
is not
has
a
a
time to push the
course.
other ones, John. Push
That's all
yours.
good. I
That's
don't
what we're
care.
here for.
But you want to go to one that is absolutely going to help you get past a lot of the bullshit as far as the mistakes that you would make, the thought processes that are not true, the way that you may think of, well, the rule says this, and you need someone to break it down for you and to tell you exactly, no, this is what the rule says, and this is why, and this is what it means, and this is the way you're going to deal with it. And you get that from going to a course that's going to help you. All those courses are going to be generally, usually about, if it's a good one, it's about 3 days long, because it's going to take a long time to get through that. That's going to be not only classroom work, it's going to be you being on the mats, you being in the cage, you working with fighters, because all these things are something that, for the most part, you've never done. And it's much different than you think it is in the real time than what you've dreamed of it to be, or what you thought of it while watching it on TV, watching the UFC. It's a long process, but if you can get through one of those courses, that course can help set you up with some of the amateur programs that are there, the ISKA programs that are there. If you're in California, you've got the Camo program, and get you started into working as an official and being basically mentored by other people that have gone through that same process and are now professionals, but still working with amateurs and working to help you become better. But the best way to do it is, you got to take that first step, and you got to make take the plunge and say, all right, I'm committed, and, go to learn. Cause that's the big thing, is you're trying to better yourself and learn what it is you think you know that you really don't know. And that's really what it is. And when I say that, Josh has been, one of the best fighters in the world forever. And, when we started working together, there was things we just started talking about, and, he would say something. I said, no, that's not the way that is. This is the way it is, because he thought it was that way. And it's not, his fault. It's the way it was explained to him by somebody. But there's ways of getting people to understand, here's the rule set. This is the way we utilize it. This is what you should be looking for. If you're a judge and you're going to be judging a fight, these are the things you're looking for. Because all the time we would argue about judging fights and stuff all the time. And you got to go by what is the criteria and understand the criteria. And that's what's going to make you effective in it.
So where can they sign up on your command course?
So they can go to MMAreferee.com. That will send you to my course. It will be in Las Vegas the week before the International Fight Week, the weekend before the what would it be, UFC 317, something like that. It's going to be at the Extreme Couture Center in Las Vegas, and you can sign up for either the referee and judge hybrid, meaning you're learning both, or just the judging course itself. One is a 2-day course, the other one is a 3-day course, but it's definitely worth your time. And I don't have people that are dissatisfied. I have people that are upset that they don't pass, but they're not dissatisfied with what they learn.
It's a process. I mean, to believe that you're going to walk in and learn it all on 3 days is it's going to take a little bit to understand. Like, there's so much information that goes into it. So be open-minded when you guys go, be open-minded when you guys sign up. Hopefully you guys sign up and you guys head on out to Las Vegas the weekend before International Fight Week. Good opportunity to meet a bunch of fighters, good opportunity to be around all the top referees and be around the one who wrote the rules. So it's no better person to learn from. So make sure you guys sign up, check it all out. Dave, what else you got for us, bud?
Next question here from Alejandro. How do you train to handle the liver shot effects?
You don't. You just do it. I hate to. Do you know a way? I mean, first off, yes, you need to build up your your core. You got to build up your abdominals. You got to build up your intercostals and your obliques and stuff. But none of that is going to take when a shot is thrown and it's a good shot and it hits you right. Just mental toughness to get yourself through it. I'm just being honest. It sucks.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way. Doesn't matter about your muscles around there. I mean, you look at Donald Cerrone. He was shredded to the T at 155. Still had an effect. Yep. Yeah, there's just no way. Babe, before we move on, you guys, I know we're on a bunch of different live platforms tonight. So we're on Kick, we're on Twitch, we're on all these other platforms, Instagram, and obviously, and we're
Facebook.
also available on OnlyFans. So make sure you guys subscribe to us over there. It is free. We're having a great time over there. We do an extra live chat over there as well. Now every Tuesday night, we'll be doing live on there as well. So if you guys can't pick us up or you guys are surfing the internet, make sure you guys join us over there on OnlyFans. I want to thank them so much for continuing to support us. There's other athletes on there, so please don't just check us out. We are the very first podcast they ever worked with. So make sure you join over. Demetrius Johnson, Chris Cyborg, Luke Rockhold, all the other athletes are on there as well. So make sure you subscribe to all of them as well. Give us some news there, buddy.
Well, first of all, Andy on OnlyFans asked, Josh and Big John, was there a fight where you were extremely nervous for, whether it was competing, reffing, or watching a friend fight?
Go ahead.
I mean, go ahead. When you're watching a friend fight, when you're cornering a friend, they're all stressful because you have no control. Or you would like to think you have control, but they feel it out there, so they feel a little bit more comfortable than you. But you feel like every time the opponent throws a kick, it feels like it's going to land. Every time he throws a punch, you're like, shit, he's going to get knocked out. Like, it just goes through your mind. Like, man, you just have no control. But when they're out there, they understand the pace and the speed of the fighter, and then they start to figure it out. But it's very difficult. In terms of, for me, I'd probably say the only fight that I was ever really nervous for, to be honest, was probably the Patricky fight, which I kind of knew was towards the end of my career. And just realizing that I wasn't the same fighter I was 3-4 years before that. And I've been kind of like battling with myself, speed's kind of going. And that's what you made a lot of you had a lot of your success off of using your speed, that being there. And then I also noticed that like I was getting hurt a little bit more in training. Wasn't the same. Taking shots just didn't feel the same. I used to enjoy getting hit. I used to spar with Paul Bonatello, Mike Kyle, Trevor Prangley, John Fitch, Koscheck, all those guys. And when they would hit me, it was very rare that I ever got like stunned or anything. So I noticed that I was getting stunned a little bit more as I got older, and it just started bothering me, realizing it was getting close to the time to hang it up. So I'd say the Patricky fight, because he was one of the guys that I looked at, I'm like, he had power. And I knew I had to respect it. And ultimately, it got me in the end. But it was one of those fights. I remember being in the dock in the loading area and going, damn, I don't like this feeling right now. Like, this is not a good feeling.
No.
So that was probably the only fight I think in my whole career I was ever really nervous for. Sure, you get the jitters, you get nervous, but it's more like excitement. That last fight was like, almost felt like I didn't want to be there. It was almost like anxiety. Didn't like it. Didn't like that feeling at all. And I knew it was time to call it quits.
Yeah. For me, in the beginning, obviously I was nervous because I had no idea what I was doing. But later on, as my career went on, I never got nervous. It just didn't happen. I would walk into, I would say, if I walked into the cage and it was a huge fight, if my normal heart rate was 62, my heart rate when I stepped in the cage may have been 68. I did not get excited or anything like that, except for 2 times. I'm going to tell you that straight out. 2 times I felt a buzz, and like, it was almost like, you got hit, that buzz that goes down your spine, but I didn't get hit. But I was like, holy shit, man, that's weird. And it was the 2 times that it happened was at UFC 129 in Toronto, when there was 55,000 people, and I was doing the co-main event, and it was the walkout for Mark Hominick, and they did this. I'll never forget it because it was just like so far that they had to walk, from the back to get to the actual cage, and they had, the Canadian flag was up there on all the screens, and they had this like fake snow coming down, and it was "I'm Coming Home." The song by Skylar Grey and I think Sean Diddy Combs, but it was that, I'm coming home. And it was his first fight ever under, the law allowing it in his basic home province of Ontario, because he was from London, Ontario. And I got a little, I was like looking these, and because the crowd was going crazy, but it was like, wow, that's really something. I just that, and then the fight only lasted 14 seconds or so. Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo, and when Conor walked out, I was all good, and he gets the thing, and then Aldo's walking out, and I'm watching him, and I got a buzz, and I went, oh, obviously this is important. It's pretty cool. That was it. But I didn't get nervous after those. But those are the 2 times I got what I called the buzz.
Yeah, a lot of excitement during that time. Like
Oh,
Mark Hominick, man, was just a stud.
Oh, he was. And such a good guy.
Yeah.
Such
That
a
whole
good guy.
group of fighters.
Yes.
Out of the Sean Tompkins.
Sean Tompkins.
You had Sam Stout. You had
Hordeski.
Chris Hordet. Yeah, you had good. They were just good people, man.
Yep.
Really
Yeah,
good.
they were.
Love those guys.
All right. First piece of news here. So there's been some talk around UFC Apex and just how Hanato Moicano kind of making a main point, basically saying that they got to stop doing the UFC Apex. He says there's no dynamic like other fight nights on the road. It's good when it's elsewhere because all the athletes go to a different city and they call TV stations, radio people, and you do the fight night with media day and open workouts, and that makes people excited to watch the fights, but nobody cares when it's in the Apex. UFC Apex cards must stop. And there's been other kind of people commenting and kind of adding to this, kind of saying the same thing. Bo Nichols, another one that said, yeah, you just don't get the same kind of energy. You don't have anyone in the stands, right? It's like, and then other comments were made about, this is UFC, you're the biggest promotion in the world. You can't be in a room with nobody there, putting on fights and calling it just because you're trying to hit your ESPN numbers.
Okay. I'm going to sit there and say this. I agree that I would much rather see a fight in a small, I don't want to say small town, but one of the towns that normally don't get the fights, the UFCs. So, when you're looking at saying, somewhere in, Nebraska gets, Omaha gets a fight night. Great. Kentucky gets a fight night. Great. Whether it's Louisville or Lexington or whatever, I don't care. Nashville, Tennessee gets a fight night. Great. Those are all better. There's not a doubt about it. And it is part of the fact of exactly what, Hanato Moicano was saying. You've got the media days and you've got the workouts in front of crowds, and you're getting these people they're getting that moment to, really feel like they're part of the sport, and they can actually reach out and touch the fighter and ask them a question or things like that, or get a picture. And all those things are fantastic for the promotion, and they cost money. So here's where it really comes down to. I sit there and I say, there's not a doubt in my mind those are better than having a show at the Apex. But when it's your dollar that's doing it, hey, do it the way you want. I can't sit there and make you do it the way I want, because I'm not the one paying and footing the bill. The UFC is paying, and those Apex shows allow for other things to occur too, because they don't cost the UFC a whole lot of money. They're easy for the UFC. It's a production that's already put together for them, is just sitting there waiting. They just have people come in and do their jobs with the camera crews, and the production and everything is basically set up for them, where it has to move and everything when it's going to another city and things like that. So all this comes down to, it's money. And to sit there and say, well, you're the UFC, you're the biggest promotion. They're a business, and that business is about making money. And so they're looking at the bottom end and saying, yes, we can do this many where we take the show on the road and have, things done this way. And there's so many that we're going to say, no, we're going to not put out a bunch of money, and we're going to get these fighters the fights that they are contracted to have, but it's going to be where it's not costing us a lot. Our people don't have to move. They don't have to be put on planes. There's a lot behind it.
Okay, so I'm going to attack this from the fighter's perspective.
Go ahead.
It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. Like, the UFC is the UFC. They're trying to get themselves to an NFL level of bringing revenue in. That's their job. That's their focus. Right. You, as a fighter, I hate to say it, but your 10 years or your 15 years in the UFC is a flash in the pan to them. That's what it is. You're literally like, you have this moment to be great, but when you're gone, the organization will still be there, and they're still going to need to make up the money. They're still going to need to make more money. They're still going to want to do more things. That's just the way it's going to be. It doesn't matter whether you're a star now or you were never a star. They don't care, because, and I shouldn't say like it has nothing to do with that they don't care. It's just that they have a goal, and their goal is to try and grow this sport and their organization to an NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA level. And they can't do that if they're wasting money on going to these small cities. Now, I do believe that they're kind of hurting themselves a little by not going to these small cities. Like John said, it costs money to take the 2 truckloads of things to every venue and drive it around the country, or drive it up to Canada, or fly it to Mexico or Brazil or to the UK, whatever it is. They still fly all those things there and transport all the equipment to get there. Because when I showed up for Bellator, my earpieces were inside the camera stuff. And for some reason, it all showed up in the UK. And I had only one set that I left with them. And it was everywhere I went in every country I went to. And so it got there somehow. I don't know how, but it did. So whether it was on a ship or on a plane, but it showed up.
You were a lot more trusting than me. I kept mine.
I kept one in my backpack, though. I had two.
Yeah.
So, but I always kept one. But I had one that went with the production stuff, and it always showed up. And you know, my Jamie and Chris, they always had my stuff there. Always had it sit at the desk every time we did our rehearsal. And so that's one way of looking at it. Look, for the fighters, I agree with Moicano. I agree with other fighters that are complaining. It does suck, especially when you're at the level of like a Moicano, you're in the top 6, top 8, top 10. It sucks. It sucks. I mean, like, it's great to, like, your dream has always been, I want to headline a UFC, and then you headline one in the Apex where there's no fans. You're like, shit, man, I want to at least headline it in like Knoxville, or, you know, right outside of whatever it is. You know, you could be in Houston, Dallas. Give me an area, like send me somewhere, right? San Antonio. Let me headline it where there's fans, where I can walk and feel the crowd and the energy and the loud music. And it sucks for them. But when you get into, like I said, the breakdown of what the UFC's goals ultimately are, is to grow this product worldwide to a level that is making them, you know, 20 to $30 billion. That's what they're trying to do. And they can't do that if every week they're trying to do shows, you know, outside, and they're having to spend, you know, people don't realize. And I had this conversation with Coker. He's like, it costs, you know, $1 million everywhere we go, at least.
Oh,
it's going to cost us money to get there, get all the product there, get all the fighters there, get all the production team there, get all the cameras there, get everything there. It costs money. And if you went overseas, or you went to Brazil, and suitcases to line the pockets of the Brazilian government, you know, suitcases to line the pockets of, you know, of the Chinese Congress people over there, whatever it is, the dictator, whatever it is, you had to do something to get your product into those countries. It wasn't just free. It wasn't like, oh, because we're the UFC, everyone wants us. No. Those people that run those countries, they want to get their pockets lined, and that costs money. So them doing shows in the Apex where they own the building, it's all set up. They don't have to do anything. Everything just stays there. It's already there. It is saving them a ton of money. And and my last thing I'm going to say on this, for the press and the media and all those things, all the ones that are complaining in the media, and Ariel being one of them, you know, and other media guys, the bottom line is that you guys make a lot of money off. It doesn't matter where they do it. So you wouldn't have maybe you would have a job, Ariel. Like, you worked basketball, you've worked other stuff, but, you know, you've worked boxing. And I'm not just pointing out Ariel, I'm talking about other media guys as well. Bottom line is that you make a lot of money. You've made a lot of money off of the sport. Your job is to report on it. Sure, it sucks that the fighters are having to go through that. I would agree with you 100%. But the bottom line is the fighters are still getting paid. They can still support their families. They can still make a living. And it is a shitty situation. I wouldn't be lying if I said I wouldn't be a little upset if my first main event was inside the Apex. But at least I got a main event. At least I did it in the UFC. You could talk about that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's something to build on. Bottom line is that we shouldn't be complaining. We should be talking about all the positive things that are coming from these fighters having more opportunities, more shows. What is it, 42 or 44 shows a year? I mean, that's a lot. When I was fighting, it was 5 to 7 a year. So if you got hurt, you had to wait 2 more pay-per-views. You know, it was very tough. It was tough. Like, we were scraping to get by. Look, these guys have a lot of opportunities. The sport's only been around for 30 years. Let's dial it back on all the negative talk. Sure, we've all had our problems with the UFC and what we feel like they should do, but they're obviously doing something right. They keep
Obviously, they're
growing,
doing something
they
right.
keep getting better. And I know we're at a stagnant stage right now. We're talking about fighters, they're missing star power and all this other stuff. It's a changing of the guard. There's fighters that are coming, there's fighters that are going, and it'll even itself out. There's fighters coming in from the PFL. There'll be some fighters coming in from one. There's fighters coming in from other organizations. It'll even itself out. They'll build more stars. They always do. They know how to do it. So let's just go ahead and dial it back on the negativity. Let's talk positive about everything that's going on. What do you got else? What else for us, Dave?
All right, let's wrap up in this one here. Dricus came out and said that he is frustrated. He's lost the biggest payday of his life against Alex Pereira because of Ankalaev. Just want to get your take on, is that a big payday? Is that a big time fight? In the eyes of both of y'all.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell you, he's not lying. Yeah, it's one of those you can sit there and say whatever you want, and people can, say, "Oh no," but when Poaton lost to Ankalaev, you're gonna have to admit there was a little bit of luster that came off of Alex Pereira. It's just the way it is with a loss, and there's going to be that. He's not. It's hard to say. It's not that he is not still a special fighter, but some of the enigma that was with him, the chama, all the things of, damn, it just seems like he really can't lose. And even when he does, it's, spectacular and this and that. That last fight took a lot of the luster off, and it made it to where, John Jones, if you want to talk about possibly fighting him at heavyweight, that went away. Duplessis either moving himself up to light heavyweight or getting Alex to come down, which I didn't think was going to be possible, back to 185 for a huge matchup. That would have been a huge fight. If you're DDP, that is as big a fight as you're going to get right now, and it's gone. That's one that now there's going to be other fights that they'll put out there. They're not going to put Poaton back in that. They're going to have to rebuild him, and if he gets rebuilt and he gets those wins, then yeah, it's possible it could happen again. But it definitely did get taken away with that one loss, and I understand why he feels that he lost out on something. I think a lot of guys do.
I think you're crazy, John. I think this. I think that he was never going to get the fight. He was going to go right to John Jones, and no one knows how that fight would have turned out. And who would have said after he beat John, if he did beat John, that he would ever come back down? I'm the first 3-division champion. Why would I go back down to 205? I'm not fucking cutting my leg off anymore. Screw that. To fight who? The 185-pound guy where I was already champion? It didn't make, he was never going to get the fight. Now, do I understand he wanted that fight? Maybe that definitely would have been his biggest payday. But there's no doubt the John Jones fight was a way bigger payday for Poaton than the Dricus.
Why did everyone want to fight Conor McGregor?
The money.
Exactly. It's a big payday.
But I'm not saying
so it's if you're the champion of 185, I'm not saying what he was gonna get.
Yeah, he wasn't
I'm saying
he wasn't
the opportunity. Okay, you can say that.
You're saying I'm saying he was never gonna
the opportunity was gone as soon as the judges' scorecards went in and Ankalaev was the winner.
Okay, so Dana came out right after Ankalaev won and said, no, that rematch is going to happen.
Okay.
If that happens and he comes out, Poaton comes out and knocks him out, Ankalaev, or beats him, it's back on. And I can see that happen at 185 now. But the John Jones fight now is gone. Before that, the John Jones was the only fight. They were literally waiting to make the Tom Aspinall John Jones fight even sign deal, contract, anything, because they thought if Poaton won, we're taking that right to John Jones. That fight's going to happen. That fight's now gone. John's going to either have to fight Aspinall or he's going to have to retire.
Okay.
He's got a decision to make. But the Dricus fight is now, I think it actually has more opportunity to happen, but Poaton's got to win. And he's got to win, I think, not impressive fashion, but he's got to make it look like the first fight was, I was dealing with injuries, I was hurt, it just wasn't my night, I was flat, whatever it is. But he's got to do what we talked about Leon Edwards having to do against Sean Brady. He's got to make it look like last time was a fluke. And I'm going to put this guy away. And if he does that, then I can see the Dricus fight happening. I just think the John Jones fight is gone now for sure, because John's got to make the decision, so he's not holding the weight class anymore. but Dricus could still get it. Might have been the best thing for him, for Dricus, is for him to lose and then if Poaton can get the win, we can see that fight eventually. But he's gonna have to go up. There's no way that Poaton's cutting his other leg off.
No.
Okay, maybe the third leg too to get himself back down there.
Don't cut that one off.
Anything else there for us, podcast Dave?
We're up there.
All right, guys. We want to thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. And go to WayneAMerch.com, pick up some of our apparel. And John and I are going to be together tomorrow in person.
Well,
so I'll be
really
driving
tomorrow.
out to Nashville or out past Nashville. What town? Oh, never mind.
No.
Go ahead. Dox yourself, buddy. Let us know. Tell us
Exactly.
exactly where you live. Give me the address.
Tennessee.
So
There you go.
John and I are going to be together. So we might do a little extra episode with you guys together inside the studio there in Nashville. I say Nashville, even though it's way far away from Nashville. But we're going to go ahead and have some fun. So you guys keep an eye out, turn your notifications on, and hopefully you guys get that little extra thumbs up and the notification that we were able to film an extra little show for you guys while we're together having some fun. So I'm going to get my kids to work out there on the farm and
Put them to work.
Cow patties and pig shit and whatever else out there, whatever else we could do. So we're gonna have some fun out there for a couple days, and then we will give you guys our full breakdown for the weekend show. And anything else there, John?
No, I'm just glad that finally Josh Thompson's going to get to meet Josh the Pork.
Josh the Pork, baby.
Yeah, dude,
I mean, I'm gonna have some competition between the two of us. I'm getting a little chubby right now.
Don't flex in front of him, man. He will fuck you up.
Oh, he will. He's a big boy, huh?
Oh,
I can't wait to show the kids that this is Josh the Pork.
He is definitely out of your weight class.
He's right into yours now.
Oh, he's way past mine too.
Oh, he's past yours too.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez. Hey, as long as he's getting the piglets. Any new piglets there?
Yeah, I got well, they're not new. Probably about 6 weeks old, 8 weeks old now.
Okay, so they're what, the size of like a football?
Oh, dude, no. Well, let's see. The bigger ones are about yay big, and the smaller ones are about that big.
Oh, okay. So no baby ones.
No baby ones.
Nothing coming in the next day or two?
No, thank God.
Fucking the Pork, man. He's got to get to work.
Dude, he did get to work. Trust me.
Gosh.
I saw him the other day. I said, "Oh man, you beat that one up, man."
Yeah. Gave that beat it the black guy. I had to put
getting right on it.
All right, guys. Hey, Podcast Dave, you got anything to say, buddy?
Nope.
Hey, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. And honestly, across the board, hit us up on Twitch, on Kick, on TikTok.
Rumble.
We're now available there on Rumble. Hit us up on all the platforms. Like and subscribe our stuff over there. We want to thank you guys. And we're also available on OnlyFans. Join us over there if you already have an account over there as well. And if you don't, please just join us. Thank you guys so much. John, we will
See you guys.